Hey guys, welcome to Life Reassembled. Today we're going to be talking about hormones. I know, hormones, but you know what though? It's our body's communication system. And it's so beautiful and wonderful. And why taking care of our hormones is a good way to start reassembling our life. Welcome to Life Reassembled. This is the podcast where we learn how to reassemble our lives. I'm Julie Renee. I'm a life coach specializing in trauma recovery and a speaker. Together, we're going to be exploring what it really means to reassemble our lives on the rock after we've spent our entire lives piecing it together on sand. Here, we're going to talk about healing the mind, renewing the spirit, and organizing the parts of our lives that were once overwhelmed by complete chaos. Each episode is a space for reflection, faith, and practical steps for living with peace and intention. So, take a deep breath with me, settle in with some warm coffee, and let's begin reassembling our lives, piece by piece, together. Hormones are so beautiful, y'all. They regulate our mood, if you guys didn't know that already, because, come on. Let's just say, we knew that one. But it's also part of our metabolism. It helps with our sleep and our energy. It controls how we grow. It controls our reproduction, obviously, and our stress responses. Now, that can all make sense because mood and stress, to me, kind of go hand in hand, especially, you guys know what I'm talking about. Come on, y'all. That's when our hormones are all over the place, it seems. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with hormones, but it used to always be hate. When puberty hit, I swear it was attacking me. It hated me before I hated it. So when my hormones pretty much took over my entire body when I was a teenager, it ruined my body. It ruined who I was as a person. I was a completely different person overnight. Everyone saw it. My teachers, my friends, my parents are like, who are you? It was almost as if this demon entered into me when I hit puberty. It was the craziest thing. I can't explain it. Now, I know none of you guys had this experience. I know that puberty for you guys was probably very smooth and wonderful and this beautiful fairy tale that we see in the TV shows and movies where it's just absolutely cool. And then you go out to dinner afterwards to celebrate. Yay. No, that's not real. It's crazy. It's all over the place. Our bodies are like, what is going on? And we have to have that adjustment period. So the reproduction is just a small part of it. That was all I knew at that time. And so I learned to hate my hormones. And I just pretty much avoided anything that had to deal with it. Now on this side of reassembling my life, I'm loving my hormones and I'm thankful for it. And instead of trying to think that my thoughts are going to do anything anti-hormone, I don't want to be in a bad mood. So I'm going to be in a bad mood before you tell me I'm going to be in a bad mood. No. Let's work together. We can't take the hormones out of our body, even though, I'm sorry, y'all are crazy. No, what are you doing? Don't mess with it. It messes you up. When you mess with our hormones, it messes you up completely. And there's so many testimonies out there from people who are trying to reverse the curse. I'm not trying to be silly there, but it's true. When you mess around with your hormones too much, it messes you up and you are a different person. And I know that's the goal, but then as you get closer and closer to that goal, you realize oh, this is not where you wanted to be. And so my heart goes out to you guys because it's not easy. That journey is not at all easy. The whole process is not easy. And even though I've never gone through that process, I can understand wanting to be a different person. I hated what I was going through so much growing up. And I didn't necessarily want to be a different gender, but I just didn't want to deal with periods. I was begging my mom to have a hysterectomy when I was in high school because it was so painful. It was so dramatic. And my body just did not work with me in that regard. And so I had a really hard time going through that. And I didn't even look feminine. It wasn't even worth it. I still kind of looked like a young boy. physically with big, super fat legs. And it was like, what is happening? And I didn't realize it then that how I was eating and taking care of my body before puberty really contributed to how it affected when that time frame happened. And so now I not only work with the reproduction cycle of the hormones, but everything that happens in our brains and the rest of the body with everything else that it does. And we need to feed these hormones in a way that go with our body, and we can work together as a team, because it's not trying to fight against you. It's just doing its job. All of our cells and molecules and atoms, everything in our bodies is working the way it's supposed to, designed to. And so if we're fighting against it or not helping it, it's going to do what it's going to do regardless. It's set up that way for a reason. And so the best things that we can do is come alongside of it, whether we agree with it or not. But we can't change it, at least not overnight in any way, and let's work together. So I go on that tangent for a reason, because you guys, I really had a hard time. And now on this side of it, we're working together, and I'm having a more amazing physical journey because I'm taking care of my hormones much, much, much better. They're the chemical messengers of our body. So it's telling our body like what's going on. And so we need to make sure that we're allowing it to do that to its best of its ability. A big part of our structure is our cortisol and chronic stress sensors and our cortisol and chronic stress system. Now, for me, this was very damaging too. My body has gone through so much. Has anybody also, like, please let me know. Has your body gone through so much? Not just like with puberty and then, going through an eating disorder and then, being in an abusive relationship. Like, my body was so screwed up for so many years. My hormones in every aspect were all over the place. And so part of reassembling our lives is reassembling our hormones and working together with it. So you guys, on this side of it, we can repair it because our bodies are meant for that. We can do this. And a big part of this is our sleep. And I know I talk about sleep a lot because it's such a vital stage of our body's system. And so having our sleep helps us repair certain hormones. And so we have to be very careful with when and how we sleep. And of course, the devil's going to do everything he can. I know you guys don't listen to him, right? You guys are good on temptation. You guys don't fall asleep with your phone in your hand. Like, you guys don't do that, right? Because we no. I've been there too, right? Like, we all have something that we've done where if we're not disciplined in certain areas, we haven't set up ourselves for success in certain ways, we are depriving our bodies of certain things and not allowing it to. And you guys know what I'm talking about, right? There's a certain point, if you stay up at night, where your brain, you can physically feel it in your brain. And it's like groaning. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It's like this really weird, it's almost like a pre-headache. And it's groaning because it's like, okay, I'm done. I'm maxed out. Like, we need to go to sleep. You guys know what I'm talking about. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And at that point, it's already past its capacity. It's like when you're thirsty. By the time you actually realize that you're thirsty, it's already too late. It wasn't like that was the second that your body's like, oh, now we need hydration. No, it takes a minute. Because it has to go through the whole cycle. And your brain has to tell the rest of you, like, hey, we need hydration now. Like, what is going on? We're deprived of this. And then you're like, oh, yeah, sorry. That's right. I'm thirsty. I should drink something. And it takes a minute to get to where we feel hydrated. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It's like the same thing with how they teach you to lose weight with eating, taking your time with eating, because you're actually full before your brain knows that it's full. Isn't that crazy? So we have to work with our bodies with everything that it needs. And I know, you guys, we cannot be 100% perfect 100% of the time. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. However, if we put these success blocks in our way, that sounds weird. If we put success milestones along our path on purpose, we can be in a better direction. So if we're having a hard time with our hormones, we're having chronic stress, we're having gut issues, hello. You guys, if you haven't listened to Dr. Axe, he is like the guy to listen to when it comes to these things. And so I highly encourage you, because there's so much I'm learning from him. And he has a great history of his story of why he does what he does. And he's all about utilizing the medicine that God created for us before we do anything outside of that. And because it heals about 99.9% of our ailments. So we can take care of ourselves with what God has given us. We just get distracted and we forget, and we get so far removed in our culture sometimes that we forget, like, oh yeah, fruit grows on trees, right? Not in the grocery store. Like, we forget things like this, you guys, because we don't grow up with it being on a tree. We don't see it on a tree. We see it in the grocery store. That's where you buy your apples. A big part of our hormone systems are our blood sugar. This is huge. Certain diets are, in regards to like how our carb intakes are balanced, really protects how our mood swings shift. And it depends on where you're at. If you're really far gone, it's going to take a minute usually to kind of get to where you want to be, but don't give up on the journey. And we have a hard time balancing our sugars because there's sugar in everything. So it's constantly spiking and we're constantly crashing. Even if we're on a very low to moderate carb diet, they just sneak sugar into everything. So we have to be very careful about what we eat, how much we eat, and when we eat, because that really kind of intertwines with our hormones. And I know it's not easy sometimes, and certain days are going to be easier than others. And especially if you're craving certain things or it's that time of the month, we have to do it ahead of time. The best way to prepare is to do it when you don't need it. So there's a way to prepare our bodies for certain times of the month. There's a way to work with our hormones throughout the days. Now, I know men, you have a completely different way of how your bodies function than women, and praise God for that. But there's a reason why women don't do and shouldn't do certain things that men do, and vice versa. We have different roles for a reason. We have different brains, thank you very much, God, for a different reason. And it's so beautiful when we work together as a team. We can come together and make everything work the way it's supposed to. And so men, the best way to listen to hormonal advice is to listen to other men who are much more an expertise in this. And I'm just learning how to really assemble my life and other women's life. So I'm going to be talking more about cycles. Men don't really have too much of that problem. I know they have a certain windows for certain things, but it's so different than how women work. And it depends on too, like your cycles could be done. You could be on the other side of it. And that's a whole nother hormonal journey. And if you're pre-cycle, there's a lot going on there too, and to prepare for that. And so women, we have a beautiful and unique hormonal journey that should be nurtured and valued and taken care of. And it all ties in really honestly with our sleep, our eating habits, and our stress reduction. This all plays a huge part into it. And so this episode is really just kind of bringing all that together, but we really need to dive deep into each one and spend time really studying and practicing and putting into action how to reduce our stress. We talked about that in 2 weeks ago about our nervous system. We really talked about how to reduce our stress hormones. And we have to remember too, every time I talk about this, there's good stress. Not all stress is bad. And the more controlled stress that we can do, the better it is. And so we can't always control our environments, but how we react to our environments is definitely something that we need to have ahead of time. Guys, this is not an easy journey. There's so much here. It's very intricate. But if we really break things down and just concentrate at one thing at a time and master one thing at a time, then we can move on to the next thing and tackle it and tackle it. So it might be overwhelming, and I'm not trying to overwhelm anybody in this episode in any way, like, because our hormones are not just like one thing. You can't just like, okay, well, I'm going to have apple cider vinegar every morning and boom, my hormones are going to be fixed. No, that's not at all how it works. We have to break it down into different systems and really take care of it in every angle. And here's the good news. So it might seem like a lot and like, oh my gosh, we have to worry about sleep. We have to worry about this. We have to worry about that. But guess what? When we are repairing our sleep, when we are taking care of what we eat and what we don't eat, it also plays a part in other parts of our reassembling. So not just only for our brains and our hormones, but it affects our nervous system and other parts of our body that we're going to talk about as we go on with the different weeks coming up. So we're going to be talking about a lot of the same things, because when you eat healthy, when you eat what God has given us, when you don't eat certain foods, it does a lot of good. So it doesn't just affect one part. So if you hear me talking about eating and sleeping in a lot of episodes, it's because it plays a huge part in a lot of our body's functioning. That's how beautiful it is. So that's why it's imperative to really, really make the decision more than anything else. Like, okay, what matters to you? Now, for me, my hormones matter to me. When I was reassembling my life and getting all this put together, I was done with my crazy cycles. I was done with how I felt. Because talk about moody. Like, my parents joked, and it's not funny to me at all, because I'm just like, it's horrifying. Like, I was the 12 doors all the time, because we didn't understand at that time what my hormones were really doing to my personality and doing to my life. And it started me down a really dark path. Now, I'm not saying that it contributed to every decision I made. Of course not. But I do know, because my hormones were not taken care of properly, or at all, to be honest, it didn't help. It didn't help my brain function the way it needed to. It didn't help my body function the way it wanted to. And there was so much that happened because my hormones were not taken care of. So to me personally, it is a big deal. And it's a big deal for other people, because I'm not the only podcast out there talking about it. There's YouTube videos about this stuff, guys. Like, this is not a new concept. I don't want you guys dreading when your cycle comes. I don't want you guys to be surprised when your cycle comes. Like, there's so much there that we really need to take care of. And if you're trying to get pregnant, like, oh my goodness, you're really all about your hormones. And so part of it too, guys, and this is why we may ignore it. Now, when I was younger, we were just ignorant. I had no idea. No idea any of these things existed. I just thought this was just what was dealt to me, and I had to deal with it, and I hated life. No idea that I possibly could have really controlled it to a degree if I ate better and had a better lifestyle, a better thought process. All these things that I could have helped with the stress reduction. There was so much that I could have done at a younger age that really would have helped me. And who knows, I may not have been in the abusive relationship. I mean, that's how crazy it is to think about, I wonder if. So I don't want you guys to wonder if. I don't want you guys to possibly be leading yourselves into, and I don't want you to think that it's oh, you're being a little dramatic. No. It's possible, guys. It is possible. So let's figure out what's most important to you. And where do you need to start? Do you need to start with your stress reduction? Do you need to start with your eating habits? Do you need to start with your sleep cycle? Whatever is the most imperative to really just tackle, let's create that. And let's put together a plan of attack. Now, if you guys want to reach out to me, I can help you personally get that organized in a very systematic and personalized way for you guys. Because again, every season is different. Everyone has a different journey of how they need to get there. So I got you. How I put together my sleeping is going to be maybe a little bit different than how you put together your sleeping. That's why there's so much advice out there. Obviously, we know we need sleep. How do we do this, right? Same thing with meal planning and how to work on that. Maybe there's certain foods you can't eat. Hey, some people don't have a gallbladder, so they can't eat certain foods. Like every situation is different. And so reach out to me. I would love to work with you guys in putting together a very personalized, systematic program so that way we can start really getting on top of this. And if hormones are a big issue for you, I got you. Obviously, I'm very passionate about this, and I would love to help you in your journey as well. Join our Facebook group. All the links are below. If you want to reach out to me personally, get more information on how to do a personalized program, reach out to me on Instagram as well. All right, I love you guys. I'm praying for you. I'm in your corner, and I will talk to you guys next week. Thank you for joining us for today's conversation on Life Reassembled. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who is also rebuilding their life, because none of us are meant to do this alone. To keep growing with us, join us on the Life Reassembled Facebook community. Check out our free identity blueprint on our website, or learn more about our coaching and upcoming courses at reassembledlife.com. That's re-assembledlife.com. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Life Reassembled for daily encouragement and resources. Remember that healing doesn't happen overnight, but every small step forward is part of reassembling your life.